rise was iconic, her fall even more shocking. Linda Evangelista went from fashion royalty to a downfall that shook the entire industry. Welcome to my channel Western Wiz. Linda Evangelista was not just the face of fashion's golden age. She was its undisputed queen. Her image transcended the glossy pages of magazines and the bright lights of runways. But behind that iconic face was a story riddled with ambition, beauty, heartbreak, and silence. Born in 1965 in the quiet Canadian town of St. Catharines, Ontario, Linda Mallory Evangelista entered the world as the youngest child of David Evangelista, a decorated spy during World War II, and an English mother who was a homemaker. Her upbringing was far from glamorous. In school, Linda struggled to fit in. Her angular features, tall frame, and pronounced cheekbones were not celebrated. She was mercilessly teased and bullied, nicknamed half-boy, half-girl by her peers. In a world obsessed with delicate femininity, Linda's sharpness made her invisible in the eyes of others. Her family background was complicated. Her father, having lived a life of covert operations during wartime, carried a stoic, secretive nature, leaving emotional gaps in their household. Her mother, though loving, lived in the shadow of her own acting ambitions that never quite flourished. Jane always felt that her identity was defined by what she lacked. At age 12, fate intervened. A modeling scout noticed her odd but striking features. She enrolled in a modeling school, not with grand ambitions, but because it seemed like an escape. By the time she was 16, she was working small gigs in Canada. In the early 1980s, the fashion world was dominated by narrow beauty standards. The waifish models of the time, the thin girl next door look that reigned supreme. But Linda Evangelista was different. Her strong jawline, versatile expressions, and chameleon-like ability to become anyone the camera demanded set her apart. At 18, she made a bold move to New York City, hungry to break into an industry that valued conformity. New York in the early 80s was an unforgiving playground. It was the beginning of the supermodel era, but the rules were rigid. Models were treated as disposable. They were expected to remain thin, smile on command, and not rock the boat. Linda refused to conform. Her first major breakthrough came when she walked for Jean-Paul Gaultier, whose avant-garde designs demanded models who could embody both strength and vulnerability. Her presence on the runway was electric, her gaze defiant, and her body language magnetic. Every step was a silent rebellion against the industry that tried to box her in. By the mid-80s, the industry began to shift. Supermodels were emerging from the shadows to become the new celebrities. Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, and Claudia Schiffer were household names. Yet, Linda Evangelista carved her own unique path, refusing to be pigeonholed as just another pretty face. Her collaborations with legendary photographers like Steven Meisel, Irving Penn, and Peter Lindbergh became the stuff of fashion legend. Each photoshoot was a creative collaboration. Meisel, in particular, was known for pushing his models to explore raw emotion, and Linda thrived under this pressure. She didn't just model, Meisel would say later. She inhabited the entire mood of the shoot. One of her most iconic campaigns was for Revlon in the late 1980s. The advertisements showcased Linda in stark, dramatic black and white, her eyes piercing the viewer's soul, and her expressions oscillating between aloofness and intense desire. The world watched as she became not just the face of Revlon, but the face of a cultural shift. Models were now celebrities. Her relationship with Karl Lagerfeld was particularly defining. As the head of Chanel, Lagerfeld recognized Linda's unique ability to embody elegance with a hint of rebellion. "Linda is not just a model," he said. "She is an idea." Each time she walked for Chanel, the atmosphere transformed. The audience didn't see her walking in clothes. They saw a living sculpture, a performance of style and grace. But Linda Evangelista's rise wasn't without its toll. The pressures of constant public scrutiny, grueling schedules, and the relentless demand to remain youthful weighed heavily on her. Behind the scenes, the modeling industry was notorious for its cruelty. Models were frequently subjected to extreme dieting, abusive agents, and a culture that treated them like objects rather than human beings. Her personal life became a subject of media fascination. Her relationship with actor Kyle MacLachlan was heavily scrutinized. Though they never married, their bond was strong, and their son Augustine James was born in 2006. a rare and treasured milestone in an otherwise tumultuous existence. Then the unthinkable happened. In 2015, seeking to maintain the body that had been her greatest asset, Linda underwent a cool sculpting procedure, a cosmetic treatment designed to freeze and reduce fat cells in targeted areas of the body. What was meant to be a simple, safe solution turned into a nightmare. Paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, or PAH, a rare and poorly understood side effect, caused the treated areas to swell and grow abnormally large. Linda remained silent for years, suffering in solitude. Her self-image, once her greatest strength, now became a source of deep personal shame. "I used to wake up every day knowing I was the most photographed model in the world," she revealed years later. "Now I wake up and don't recognize myself." Her lawsuit against Celtic Aesthetics in 2017 was a defining moment. It wasn't just about seeking justice. It was about shining a light on the dangerous silence that pervades the beauty industry. The industry that thrived on illusions refused to acknowledge its darkest failures. Despite her silence, the public remained fascinated. Articles in magazines speculated endlessly about her disappearance. Was she burnt out? Had she retired by choice? The truth, much more painful than speculation, was revealed only when Linda spoke out in court. Her case became a watershed moment for cosmetic regulation. Suddenly, the industry was forced to confront its responsibility. Regulatory bodies began to take cosmetic procedures more seriously. A long overdue conversation about the unrealistic beauty standards models face was ignited. In 2024, Linda made a remarkable return. Her appearance at the Met Gala marked a triumphant re-entry, not as a model desperate to reclaim past glory, but as a woman who redefined strength. Wearing a simple yet elegant kite gown, she stood with grace and dignity, reminding the world that beauty is not perfection, but resilience. Beyond fashion, Linda Evangelista became a symbol of activism. She used her platform to raise awareness about the dangers of unregulated cosmetic treatments and the inhumane standards imposed by the modeling industry. Her speeches at forums and interviews were raw, unfiltered, and filled with quiet power. Today, when we look at the Birkin bag, perhaps the most coveted luxury accessory in the world, few remember the woman who inspired it. The handbag, originally designed out of a casual in-flight sketch by Hermès CEO Jean-Louis Dumas, became an icon of luxury and status. But for Linda, the Birkin bag was never about status. It was a companion in protests, a functional accessory to carry belongings to marches advocating for human rights, a quiet testament to her unapologetic spirit. Her legacy is not one of effortless glamour. It is messy. It is human. Her story is a powerful narrative of survival, in the face of an industry built on unattainable ideals. A mirror to society's obsession with appearance and perfection. She wasn't born a supermodel. She became one by defying conventions, standing up to exploitation, and choosing authenticity over illusion. Linda Evangelista once said, "I am not a model. I am a person who happens to model." Her journey forces us to ask, at what cost do we chase beauty? Who suffers in silence while the world applauds perfection? Her legacy is now eternal. There will never be another model like her.